How's it going, everyone? I'm coming to y'all with another deck tech, and I want to get this one done before the hybrid rules potentially change, because this is my Morophon the Boundless Merfolk Tribal deck. Now, you can see that I did have a custom Morophon done as a Merfolk. I do have the standard Morophon over here, for anyone who cares, but I did like having Morophon done up as a Merfolk himself, because the deck is Merfolk Tribal. So what's interesting about this, and why I wanted to do this before the hybrid rules potentially changed, is because this is a Temur deck, kind of. The idea behind the deck was to use Morophon as a commander because we don't have a good Temur Merfolk commander, and I didn't just want to use like Thrasios partnered with Crown, because A, that might get me targeted for people thinking I'm playing a higher power deck than I am, and B, they don't care about Merfolk anyways, they're kind of just generically good cards. Morophon at least provides a powerful cost reduction effect and a pump effect, which is pretty solid for Merfolk as a whole. But I only wanted to play Temur. However, because Morophon's color identity is 5-color, it does let me play with hybrid cards, Azorius and Temur hybrid cards, and Rakdos hybrid cards, and whatever hybrid cards that have black or white in them that I otherwise couldn't if I played a true Temur commander deck under the current rules. Now, there's a lot of discussion right now, people believing that with the new Lorwyn release or the upcoming Strixhaven release, they might change the hybrid rules for Commander, so I want to do this before that happens just in case, because it's kind of what makes this deck unique, at least at this time. So, Morophon cost reduces the tribe we choose, which is going to be Merfolk, by Wooburg, and also gives them +1/+1. Kind of powerful. We don't really build around Morophon, but we do take advantage of him, and I do have one card in here just because Morophon is the commander. So let's move him to the side and get into the deck. I don't want to spend too long on the mana base because, as I always say, mana bases are kind of boring. Yes, they are important, but they're not inherently interesting to discuss. So, Ketria Triome, Unclaimed Territory, Cavern of Souls, City of Brass, Mana Confluence, Command Tower, Path of Ancestry, Exotic Orchard, Reflecting Pool, 3-Tree City, which is kind of our cradle for this deck, which is neat. Those are all lands that can make any color. Then we've got Scalding Tarn, my only fetch in the deck, because this deck was originally built with no fetches, no duels, no shocks. I wanted to have a super budget mana base, and as I began kind of blinging out other decks, I ended up with leftover copies of various lands, and I said, you know what, they're on color, I'll throw them in this deck because why not? So Scalding Tarn is my only fetch, because I just happen to have it. Breeding Pool and Steam Vents, happen to get these two. I don't have any interest in the Stomping Ground. Blue is the primary component, so I only really need blue lands. Tropical Island, because I had an extra, so it went in. Thundering Falls, because I had an extra, so it went in. Then we have Hinterland Harbor, Sulphur Falls, Yavimaya Coast, Shivan Reef, Flooded Grove, Cascade Bluffs, Dreamroot Cascade, Rejuvenating Springs, Reliquary Tower, and Fabled Passage. And then we move into the basic lands, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 islands, 2 forests, and 2 mountains. Okay, so nothing super exciting about the mana base. The ramp package, again, kind of want to breeze through most of this because it's not exciting stuff. We all know how to build a ramp package. Soul Ring, Arcane Signets, Felwar Stone, Thought Vessel, Kior's Follower. Pretty good Merfolk that can untap some stuff. This is actually really relevant with 3-Tree City and the Itlamok that's in the deck. Rampant Growth, Sakura Tribe Elder, Farseek, Shared Roots, Nikanzel. This is actually a very relevant, very powerful piece of ramp in this deck, because whenever we explore a land, we get to put a land from our hand into play, which is just pure ramp, and then we also get to grow the Nikanzel for it. This deck does play a lot of Explore because that's what Merfolk did for the longest time. Stony Brook Banner Ray cost reduces our Merfolk, as does Herald's Horn, which also kind of draws us some. Fist of Suns is in here strictly because Morophon is our commander, and it's basically free to run. Even though I'm not doing a Morophon big mana deck, or a Joda big mana deck, Fist of Suns, that type of thing is just very powerful to run, so why not? If we can play all our Merfolk for completely free, of course we're going to take that. Marrow Regery, tap or untap a permanent whenever we cast a Merfolk. Because of Morophon's cost reduction, this can actually, even just with a bounce land, which I think I cut my bounce land from the deck. Might have to put that back in. Yeah, going through the list, I cut my bounce land. Anyways, with a Itlamok or a 3-tree city, we can just make a ton of mana with this Morophon. Benthic Biomancer, we're into the card draw package. When it gets a 1/1 counter, we loot. Sig, each end step, if an opponent lost 3 or more life, we may draw a card. This is the kind of thing that we couldn't really run in a Temur deck as of right now, so it's kind of fun. Cold-Eyed Selkie, Island Walk, when it deals combat damage to a player, we draw that many cards. With all the lords in the deck and all the 1/1 counters, it's very solid. Topography Tracker, if we would explore, we explore again, and when it enters, we make a map, so pretty good card advantage here. Realm Walker and Emperor Mihail II are functionally the same card in this deck. They both let us look at the top part of our library. They let us cast Merfolk from the top of our library. But Mihail also lets us get some Merfolk tokens by paying 1 while we do so, which is very relevant to the Low Mage Mentor that's in the deck. Then here's the Growing Rights of Itlamok, dig for a creature, and then it flips into Massive Ramp. Flame of Anur, we're always getting 2 modes with this deck because there are so many wizards in the deck. Merfolk just happen to be wizards most of the time, and our commander is both. So, you know, we're usually going to draw 2 and remove something, an artifact or a creature. Sometimes we're just removing 2 things, though. Jori and Ruin Diver draws this card on our second spellcast. Kumena is either a way to pump our board, draw some cards, or just get in some unblocked damage. Whirlpool Warrior is a wheel on ETB and on Sacrifice. Hawkball is the best card in the deck, naturally. Most people who are looking at this are saying, why aren't you playing Hawkball? And it's because I wanted to do something different, but Hawkball is absolutely the best Merfolk in the entire 99. No questions asked. Seafloor Oracle draws us cards when Merfolk deal damage. Deep Fathom Echo becomes a copy of something and explores during combat. So we usually just make this into a copy of something like a Seafloor Oracle or a Lord effect. Tachova draws us on landfall. Zagana draws us equal to the greatest power among our Merfolk, and Tishana draws equal to the number of creatures we control. So tons and tons and tons of card draw, because we want to keep chaining Merfolk onto the field. Few tutors, we run Runner of the Heralds and Marrow Harbinger. These both tutor a Merfolk to the top of the deck. And then Sea Hunter, not a Merfolk himself, but we can pay 3 and tap him to tutor a Merfolk into play. This also gets really crazy with Morophon, because now we do this, and then we start casting Merfolk, and then we untap the Sea Hunter and reuse the Sea Hunter. It's not a loot because he doesn't cast the card, but we can usually tutor 2 or 3 Merfolk a turn into play. A little bit of recursion is Auroral Procession and Deeproot Historian, because things do get killed and we want them back. Now we get into our Merfolk Lord package, and of course we have to start it with the Lord of Atlantis, Master of the Pearl Trident. These both give +1/+1 and Island Walk to our team. You may be asking why there's not a Harbinger of the Seas in this deck, because it would make it automatically bracket 4. So, we're not doing that. Voldalian Hexcatcher gives 1/1 and turns all of our Merfolk into Curse Catchers. Mistbinder just gives a static 1/1. Sovereign gives 1/1 and can tap to give something unblockable. Frostcliff Siege is going to give 1/0 Trample and Haste to our team, which is what we always choose. Mistdancer gives 1/0 and Flying. So, all very powerful effects to pump our team. Then we've got Aerith's Kiraga Magic, aka Heroic Intervention. This is a great piece of protection. Oh, my Deeproot Elite was not where we're supposed to be. This is supposed to be with the Lords, basically. Anyways, good protection from Heroic Intervention. Zvylum gives our Merfolk Ward 1 and can also draw some cards. Singer of Swift Rivers puts the shield counter on something and also allows us to cast our Merfolk at flash speed. And Kapala kinda sorta gives our Merfolk Ward 2. Not quite, but very similar. So all good, very good protection effects. Sphere Grid says when a creature with a 1/1 counter on it, when a creature deals combat damage to a player, a creature we control deals combat damage to a player, we put a 1/1 counter on it, and our creatures with 1/1 counters on them have Trample and Reach. This helps us push in for damage, but it also helps us block flyers, which are so prevalent in the format, and we really need more ways to deal with them. Our finishers of this deck are Shared Animosity, Mirror Weave, which we're going to use mid-combat to turn all of our stuff into like a Lord of Atlantis and punch for 1,000,000. Overwhelming Stampede is a classic, and then Kindred Charge to double up our team until the end of turn. So those are our go-to finishers. I play these over Craterhoof Behemoth because I just think it's more interesting. Deeproot Waters, cast a Merfolk, make a Merfolk. Then we have our counter package, which is just Arcane Denial, Tishana's Tidebinder, and Low Mage Mentor, which is the best counter spell we could possibly run because we can counter multiple things and make more Merfolk for doing it. And then my removal package, very simple: Beast Within, Chaos Warp, Voldalian Mindslinger, Fracturing Gust, Raise the Palisade, Summon Leviathan, and Blasphemous Act. So, nothing too crazy, nothing too, like, teched, but it's, at the moment, a kind of unique build because it lets me play with hybrid cards in a Temur strategy. And if they do change the hybrid rules, I don't know if I'm going to keep it as Morophon. I probably will. But I just wanted to record this before that, because otherwise it loses what makes it special, you know? And I wanted to kind of share it before it lost what made it special. So that is my Morophon the Boundless Merfolk Tribal deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.